Welcome to our podcast, Melvin, where we talk about some weird things that we just dive into on the internet. And I don't know how we get to some of the topics we do.
I don't either.
Like it just pops up and we're like, oh, here it is. So today, Nicole is going to tell us something I have no clue. Oh, sorry. My name is Tori. If you're new here, we usually don't have any clue what the other is going to talk about. I have nothing. I don't even have a little inkling. So
Yeah, no, we just dove into it today. Didn't talk at all about our
Nope.
subjects. All we know is that each other apparently did some good research on both the topics that we're recording today. So that's really exciting, honestly.
I know, right? It's like we're going to hear these things.
Like, I have a lot more information on what I'm talking about. So, have you ever heard of the current wars?
The what?
The current wars.
Current, like, water currents?
No, like
Or-
electricity current.
Electricity current wars.
Mhm.
No.
It wasn't like a big historical event, but it was known as that in the scientific community because it was whenever they were debating on whether direct current or alternating current was going to be the amplification that was going to take over widespread electricity power in like the United States.
There's a war? Over which one was?
It was more of a debate between two giant companies, one of which wanted to only have direct current and the other one wanted to have alternating current. So the company that had direct current, which was ran by Thomas Edison, they only had motors that operated with direct current. And then the other company only had alternating current, which was run by a guy named George Westing. So we're not talking about George. That's why I don't have his name at the top of my head.
You got
because
more than 3 pages. Oh, wow. You really did dive into
I
this.
did. I can't help it. It
She
was
usually
George
holds 2
Westinghouse.
George Westinghouse?
Westinghouse.
I like that last name. Westinghouse.
Yeah, but he
It's a
had
mouthful.
a company that was arguing that alternating current was better
Okay.
as an electricity solution.
Well, it sounds, I'll be honest, like just based off of name, alternating sounds better. I don't know if it is. I know nothing about electricity. I'm not a...
Well, you're gonna find out which one ended up winning this war. But I think I'm gonna start out by talking about Thomas Edison. If you don't know who Thomas Edison is, he's the guy who was rumored to have invented the light bulb. He did not. He basically perfected the light bulb, or the modern day light bulb. Like, there were other versions of the light bulb, but how we use it today, he basically took someone else's design and perfected it and got the patent for it.
Yeah.
So Thomas Edison, he was named Thomas Alva Edison, and he was born in 1847. So this is basically the late 1800s, early 1900s.
I'm sorry, I did not know his middle name. Alva?
Yeah, Alva, Alva.
I kind of like it.
Right? It's interesting.
kinda
I've
cool.
never heard that name before.
Alva. Can you imagine
Alva.
meeting an Alva? I'm sorry. I went on.
Someone name your child Alva now so that we can be like, there's an Alva.
It's a female Alvin. That's what it would be, right? Alva.
Are we going by like the Spanish gendering of different nouns with that logic? Because if it ends with an A, then it's a female noun.
It must be. I was just thinking, Alvin, Alva. Alva sounds like Vilma.
It does.
So, like,
I never thought about that. Huh. The more you know.
the more you know.
See, she always adds commentary to things I don't think she's going to add commentary to, and it's amazing.
I know, you probably were like,
But
it's just a middle name.
He was
Anyway, I
born in Ohio, which is also funny because, yeah, Ohio. I wouldn't expect Thomas Edison to have been born in Ohio.
No.
If you live in the United States, you know what I'm talking about. Even if you live in Ohio, you know what I'm talking about. You just
they don't have a great reputation.
Yeah, you don't expect like really cool things to be happening in Ohio. It just rains there a lot, from what I understand. Every
just
time
like,
I've been there, it's raining.
It's
so,
like, oh, okay, this is it. Cool. I
but
guess.
he grew up in Michigan. Again, another not very eventful state.
I forget Michigan exists, I'll be honest.
I only knew one person that was from Michigan, and that's because that's all that they would talk about. I didn't know anything about them, just that they were from Michigan.
It's like have you ever played the game where you're trying to name all the states within 5 minutes, and it's nearly almost impossible? Michigan, it's probably one of the ones that
Michigan
I forget.
and Maryland are the two that I always forget.
See, I remember all the little small ones. Sorry, I went off board again.
It's okay.
All the little small ones. I mainly forget about Oregon, Michigan, and Washington, surprisingly enough.
I'm surprised you forget about Washington. I feel like I only remember those because of Twilight.
Because I think of Washington, D.C., and then I forget that
It's
there's
an
Washington,
actual
the state.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway,
yeah,
moving on.
Yeah,
Continuing.
You're good. He grew up in Michigan. He was one of 7 children, so he was the youngest because he was the last of the 7 children.
Oh,
and
baby.
he was taught reading, writing, and arithmetic. I'm pretty sure I said that wrong, or arithmetic, I think is how you're supposed to say it.
Oh.
I don't know. But he was taught it by his mom because she used to be a school teacher. So, to start off, he has an education.
Yes.
Which is good to note for the other character in this current ward that we'll be talking about.
Okay. Yeah, Thomas Edison, pretty smart dude.
Mm-hmm. As a child, he was curious, and he spent hours working on technological experiments at his house. He developed hearing problems at the age of 12 due to scarlet fever and recurring middle ear infections, which I kind of relate to because I have a little bit of hearing loss in one of my ears because I kept getting ear infections and I had tubes in my ears and all that fun stuff. Although it's not enough for me to notice it. It's only whenever someone points it out or I go to get a hearing test that the doctors are like, oh, this ear, you're a little, hearing deficient. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I forgot to mention that because it hasn't affected my daily life at all.
Yeah, so. You're like, it's fine.
So I relate to that, though, because ear infections stink. He was believed to have ADHD, which, based on his behavior, he definitely had ADHD.
The look she is giving. It is beautiful.
He's a hustler. I'm gonna put it that way. Like, Thomas Edison is a businessman. Inventor? ? We'll get into that, and I'm sure you'll have more to say on why I have the question mark as I give more details. His first job was as a news butcher. He used the profits to buy more equipment for his electrical and chemical experiments. And he obtained exclusive rights, or exclusive, I said exclusive, that's not a word, exclusive rights.
My brain just automatically corrected that then if you
well,
said.
Good. I need to stop correcting myself then and just be like, yeah, that's what I said, exclusive is a word. He had exclusive rights to sell newspapers on the road. He had 4 assistants, and he printed his own newspaper.
Wait, what?
Yeah, he hired 4 assistants to help distribute his mail because he started his own newspaper known as the Grand Trunk Herald, which he sold with the other papers that he also sold, showing his
Trunk Herald.
Mm-hmm. That just shows how much of a businessman he was. He was not even an adult yet, like by our standards. He wasn't 18 yet. I think he was 14 or 15 when he started this little business.
So about the typical age of in that time frame to be considered as to take on.
He started working, I believe, at age 13, and it took a couple years for him to start venturing out with the newspaper role. But basically, he had started a business already just from that little newspaper job that he had, which just
ambitious.
Yeah, it shows how much of a businessman he was even when he was younger and hadn't really delved into business itself.
Yeah. Oh, look at him go.
So at age 19, he moved to, I'm going to say Louisville. There's a Louisville close to where we're at. I don't know if it's Louisville, but it's Kentucky.
Is it spelled L-E-W or L-O-U?
L-O-U-I-S.
Oh, okay.
Is it? I don't know if it's Louisville or Louisville.
I think it's Louis. I don't know. It might be just Louisville.
Yeah, I'm going to say Louisville for now. Louisville, Kentucky. He worked the night shift at Western Union, but he got fired from that job because he had a desk job there. So he spent a lot of he had a lot of free time. So he decided to bring his hobbies with him to work.
I see where it's like, oh yeah, he definitely had ADHD. I can think putting that kind of ambitious character in a desk position.
So
Yikes.
what happened was he was working on a lead acid battery when he spilt sulfuric acid onto the floor, which then ran between the floorboards and onto his boss's desk, which was the floor below, and he was promptly fired the next morning. If you don't know what sulfuric acid is, it will eat anything.
Anything. And
Like
everything
in horror,
except for plastic, right? Like a certain type of plastic?
A very specific type of plastic.
Yeah.
Like any horror movie you've seen, they always use sulfuric acid because it's that corrosive.
Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad, like I can name so many movies that have sulfuric acid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he decided to bring that to work and spilled it.
Oh my goodness. For someone that seems so smart, clearly does not care tremendously, although maybe they didn't know the full. No, they had to know the full. He had to have known.
He's a very smart guy.
Yeah.
Whether he's actually an inventor or not, I will argue, but he's definitely extremely intelligent.
That sounds like arrogance, thinking that, oh, I won't get caught with this and we'll be fine. No one's going to get hurt. Like, you're lucky that didn't land on your boss's head.
Right?
Like...
I mean, he did have the night shift, so maybe he knew that his boss wasn't there, so he was like, oh, I can just tinker around a little bit, but... I can't argue anytime bringing a corrosive substance to work.
That is highly questionable. I don't know about that.
Yeah. So
good reason to be fired. Yeah.
Yeah. His first patent was for the electric vote recorder, which didn't take off because they couldn't manipulate it as easily as they could written votes, because this is before they started having digital recording of voting.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it would basically be a machine that you could vote, but they couldn't alter what people inputted into it. So it didn't take off politically, but that was his first patent. It was patent number 90,646, because I guess they're numbered.
What's patent 1?
I don't know. That's a good question. I should have looked that up.
Gotta look
Out
it
of
up now.
all the things that I looked up, I did not think to look that one up.
What's number 1?
He had that patent in 1869, though.
1869.
And he sold a quadruplex telegraph, which I'm not sure what the quadruplex means, but I just know that it was an improved telegraph machine. I believe it could have more lines, and it
was
able.
Lines? 'Cause
that would be a good assumption.
Maybe.
I think it also had a longer range, also, but basically he improved a telegraph system and then patented it. And he sold it to Western Union, which is the place that he previously got fired from, for $10,000, which is about $239,500 in money as of 2021. We're in 2023 right now, so it's probably even more than that because inflation has gone up. Yeah, inflation has kicked our butts in the last year.
So, how old is he when he gets this first, I guess, patent thing?
Let's see. It didn't give me a year. It says 1876. He was born in 1847. So
math. I'm going to bring out my calculator for this. Yes, I have my phone. Don't come at me.
It's okay. It's not going to ring this time.
I have it on silent. I promise. Okay, you said 1840.
1847. It was... The patent was... Well, not the patent, but it was sold. He basically got the patent and then sold it in 1876.
76. He's 29.
29. Okay. That's a really big accomplishment, though.
Yeah, no. Wow.
He was legally credited with most of the inventions that he produced at a research lab that he bought from the money that he got from selling the patent. So he sold the patent, and then he built his own research lab where he hired a bunch of people to help him create new technology. And because he owned the company, that meant that he got to have his name on any of the patents or research that was done in his lab, which is still how it's done today. Is that if you work at a company and you make something, like if you're an electrical engineer and you create like a new chip design, it's technically going to be credited to your company or whoever is the name is on the company.
They don't give the name to the person that discovered it?
They'll co-sign your name on there, but the main rights are going to be to your company. Most of the time when you get hired at a place that's creating new innovations, you have to sign like a disclosure agreement that says if you're working here and you create something new and it's owned by the company. So it's not owned by you. You don't have the patent. Your name will still be present on the patent, but you don't own the patent.
I feel like you should get like some type of percentage with that patent though.
Yeah, I think some people can come up with like royalty deals for it, but it's a really slippery business, the patent business. That's why on Shark Tank, I love Shark Tank, by the way, but that's why on Shark Tank they're always asking if someone already has a patent for it, because sometimes they'll ask for a royalty based on the patent.
Yeah.
Because they want the money from it, because they know it's innovative.
Yeah.
Because most of the time people want like a utility patent, because that's harder for other people to dupe if you have a utility patent.
Man, patents are weird, complicated, and a lot of loopholes.
Oh, yeah. Like, I could not, like, patent lawyers, I don't know how they do it. I really don't. Like, if you're a patent lawyer,
hardcore.
Kudos to you. I don't know how you do it.
We need them.
We do.
Apparently, if you want to, especially if you want to be an entrepreneur or whatever. I can't say words.
So most of Edison's patents were utility patents, which utility patents at the time, I'm not sure if it's different now. It's another thing I didn't look up, but I have a lot of research, so I can't look up every little detail, or it's going to be like a 3-hour-long episode. But they lasted about 17 years.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, okay, quick question for my brain. Mm-hmm. So he, oh my gosh, what was it? The company, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So what was the company called again?
The company, he had his company ended up expanding, so he had other research labs in like Europe and stuff.
Oh, so he had like smaller companies as well. Yeah. So whenever something was patented, did he use the company name, or did he put his name on it? Do you know?
He liked putting his name on it.
Okay, that is such arrogance.
Yeah, he liked putting his name. That's why in history they say that he owns the most patents. It wasn't his company owns the most patents. He had the most patents.
Oh, so
he
arrogant.
Had, I believe, 1,000, and I remember writing this down. This is one of the things I found out today, because I was researching more of it because I got curious.
There's more than 4. Oh, no, it's just 4 pages. Okay,
it's just 4 pages. It's okay. He had 1,093 patents.
1,093.
Which you know for a fact he did not come up with all of that himself. No. Honestly, most of his patents are just improvements on other older technology.
He was really good at taking something and making it better.
Yes, he was an innovator, in my opinion, not an inventor. Which innovators are just as important, arguably, to me, as inventors, because inventors create the idea, and then innovators take that basic idea and improve upon it. Like, they both need each other. But an innovator is not necessarily an inventor.
I could see the argument, though, to make an innovator as an inventor, because you are inventing new things to add to the idea.
Right.
But, yeah, they would be different.
Yeah, I believe they're classified different, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Not that if you're an innovator, you're any lesser than an inventor, or vice versa. They're just, it's different ideas and different methods.
Right. You didn't come up with the idea, but you did improve it.
Because an inventor many times will be clouded by whatever idea that they have, and then they don't know how to improve upon it, whereas an innovator will look and go, okay, I like your idea that you came up with, but I can see how it can be improved.
It's like, let me help you out there.
Which is a really good duo if you work together.
Absolutely.
So in my argument, Thomas Edison was more of an innovator than an inventor.
Yeah, I would agree.
So his notable inventions that he did come up with, which most of them are improvements on other things, but it's considered an invention because he changed them enough to where it's its own creation. He created the first phonograph, which was the first recorder known, and the first thing that was recorded, like vocally, was someone singing Mary Had a Little Lamb. It's about 13 seconds long. I got to listen to it because someone put the recording on the Wikipedia page.
Oh,
yeah, it was
that's
really
cool.
interesting. I don't know how they rendered that to digital format, but I'm really glad someone did because it's really cool.
That'd be cool. I guess I need to find the link and put it in the description.
Editing, Tori. Do it. He also created, or I guess improved, I'm going to keep switching between those words on accident, the carbon telephone transmitter. So he took he liked adding carbon to a lot of things because I believe it was like a newer substance that people were experimenting with.
That makes sense why he would be fixated on it then.
Mm-hmm. But he had the carbon telephone transmitter and then questionably the light bulb. Because the light bulb, he basically found a design from two other guys, which were, I have them on my page again. Hi, I learned this today. But he got it from Alessandro Volta and Humphrey Davy, who invented the first model of the modern light bulb. Yeah, Volta.
Like voltage?
Yeah, like voltage.
I love
and
that.
They were from Italy and England. And then in the 1840s, Warren de la Rue and William State added on to it. And then Joseph Swan added carbon filament, which was the first model of the modern light bulb.
We know a swan. I'm sorry, I got distracted.
We do know a swan. In the 1870s, Edison used Swan's work and added on to it, which then they both had a dispute over the patents, over who owned the patent, because technically Swan came up with the design. But Edison, because he's such a good businessman, won the patent in 1879, and his light bulb lasted over 1,200 hours. So basically he perfected it and was able to file for the patent, probably because he was constantly getting patents. And then that guy got nothing.
Because he doesn't have the patent for it at all.
Yeah, I think they put his name secondly on there, later on.
Oh,
but
later
yeah,
on. Okay.
But I believe his name is secondly on the patent now. But yeah,
I feel like I would have a lot more of that. What's the word? If respect, I guess. I don't know. I don't really have anything towards Thomas Edison. I mean, great, he did a lot of things, which, bravo, but if he just was like, you know what, you did do this design, so we'll credit you towards it, but I want the patent. I don't know if that happened or not.
He was a very stringent businessman, and he was very, set in his ways, is how he was described.
I mean, that's a lot of businessmen.
Yeah, and he did have some times later on that we will talk about that he got stubborn with. And you could tell that he...
Is it because now he's older?
Probably. Honestly. It could be. I'm not sure. I think it's just stubbornness of
just him.
Yeah, he wants his business to succeed. So even if he knows that maybe he's not right, he doesn't care because he wants his business to succeed. Because ultimately, he was a businessman first and an innovator second.
Yeah, it makes sense. That does make sense.
There's nothing wrong with that. I will not ever say that he was a bad businessman because he did a lot of incredible things with his businesses. Having 1,093 patents, that's insane. If you were bad at business, no way would you have that many patents.
No, he did. Back in the 1800s too, wow, look at him go. Although maybe it's easier. No, I highly doubt that. I highly thought it was easier.
So around this time in his Paris division, because he opened, more factories and he had one that was in Paris, entered a guy named Nikolai Tesla. Does that name ring any bells?
Tesla. I know that name. Yes, I do.
So I'm going to give some backstory on Nikolai Tesla because Nikolai Tesla, in my argument, he was an inventor. He was definitely an inventor. He was a very kind of weird, strange dude that had a lot of ideas that were way too big for what he could accomplish at the time.
Yeah, he was definitely...
So he was born in 1856 in the Austrian Empire, which is now known as Croatia, and he had a Serbian family.
Okay.
His father was a priest of the Eastern Orthodox Church, and his mother had a talent for making home crafts, tools, mechanical appliances, and she had memorized Serbian epic poems, which are the poems that are like books long.
Wow, she is just on a roll.
And fun fact, her father was also a priest.
Well, look at that.
Yeah, so she basically followed into her mom's footsteps and was like, you married a priest? I'm going to marry a priest.
I'm going to marry a priest. Well, that means that she had a good dad then, if she's wanting somebody similar.
Tesla gives credit for he had an eidetic memory, which is a photographic memory for more common knowledge now. But he had an eidetic memory, and he believes that his mom also had one because she was able to memorize these long Serbian poems.
I wouldn't be surprised.
He was the fourth of 5 children. His oldest brother passed away from a horse riding accident when he was 5. And he went to a primary school where he studied German, arithmetic, and religion. But this is the only formal schooling that he really had. He didn't have anything other
so
than
nothing
that.
really taught him how to, like,
Do
read
the-
and write and, like, how the world works economic-wise or anything like that.
Yeah. It was like a very basic school. It sounds like, so back then schooling usually just taught you what you needed to survive, whereas now we teach for preparing you for any occupation under the stars, which I argue is kind of counterproductive. Up to middle school, I understand, but once you get to high school, you kind of know what you're gonna be learning, like what you want to do.
On that, and maybe we can make a little short on that because I have thoughts, but I don't want to.
I'm totally down for that.
I don't want to take up like 15 minutes of this episode.
Right, because I have so many notes, but they're interesting notes. I went on a really good rabbit hole this time, like yay! But
woot woot.
He moved to Karlovac, which was another town in the Austrian government. I'm gonna get confused with the countries because this is whenever like World War I hadn't quite happened, and so things are still switching up a bunch with the countries.
Gotcha. I gotcha.
So he went to a high school that was taught in German, and he became interested in demonstrations of electricity by his physics professor.
Oh.
So this was in high school when he started showing knowledge of like electricity and stuff, whereas Edison had started showing interest as a child because he had that more formal education because of his mom.
Yeah.
So Tesla didn't have as much of an education as Edison did.
But still had quite a bit of education compared to like the common person in that time, so.
He was able to perform integral calculus in his head.
Oh my goodness.
So his teachers thought he was cheating.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
You're like, where's your work? Oh my gosh, when you're in school and people are like, it's like, I need you to show your work. It's like, but I did it all in my head. It's like, show me your work though.
I got in trouble for that all the time. Because my dad has a degree in electrical engineering, so he would just bring out his old like physics books and stuff that had different ways of doing the equations, and they made so much more sense to me than what we were taught in school. And so I would use his formulas, and they'd be like, "You're cheating," and my dad would go up to the school with his old college books and be like, "So is this wrong?" "No, but we need her to do it this way." "But why? She got the right answer."
Right? It's like, as long as you get to the right answer and it's consistently correct, Words are hard today. Words are hard all the time.
It's okay. My voice hasn't given out yet, which I'm proud of right now. I've only had to take 1 swig of water, so that's nice. I'm recovering from being bleh like 2 days ago. It was awful.
Allergies are bad.
They're horrible right now. He finished a 4-year term, though, from high school in about 3 years, which he graduated in 1873. But right after his graduation, he contracted cholera, which is a infection of the small intestine from a specific bacteria.
Sounds awful.
He was bedridden for 9 months.
9 months?
His father was so distraught because
9 months?
Yeah, 9 months.
Oh, no.
His father became so distraught because they had like arguments over what he wanted to do when he grew up, because he wanted to work with like electrical engineering, whereas his father wanted him to go into the priesthood. But he became so desperate for Tesla to get better that his father promised to send him to the best engineering school if he recovered.
That's an incentive to keep hanging on for life.
Hey, I'm really scared you're gonna die, so like I'll send you to school. Just get
like,
better.
Please get better.
Like that's so heartwarming, honestly. That his father was kind of like.
Was he the only boy?
I think he was, because his older brother passed away.
Okay, that makes more sense. Because I was like thinking, it's like, why would you? He's the fourth child. I guess the others are girls. Because
I believe they were.
Yeah, okay, that makes more sense.
So right after he had recovered, he evaded conscription into the Austro-Hungarian army by running off into the wilderness, where he attributed this to learning how he was able to come up with his own innovations, and he read a lot of books. Like, he loved Mark Twain while he was in the wilderness, so I guess he grabbed a stack of books and was like, you're never gonna make me go into the army, and then just ran off into the woods and survived for a couple of months. Yeah.
I'm taking off.
Hey, Mom, I'm just gonna take these. Just runs off. Okay, be back in time for dinner. A few days later, I don't think he's coming back.
He's coming back. It's like, I refuse to be a part of your military. I just got better.
So they don't have a lot of information on when he came back or like what happened after he came back, but they know that he enrolled at the Imperial Royal Technical College in Graz in 1875 on a scholarship. And he did well for the first 2 years, but then his grades suddenly fell in his third year, and he ended up leaving the school. There were a lot of speculation that he was, like, womanizing or...
Yeah, I was about to ask. I was like, did he trying to get attention from a lady or something? And
They don't have any They don't have any full records. It's rumors from his classmates that he was womanizing. There was even a rumor after he had dropped out of school that he had died. But then one of his classmates saw him in the street and was like, hey, you know that Nikolai guy? He's just walking around on a fishing boat.
He had died? Oh my goodness. It seems like he's just a very aloof kind of individual.
Yeah. He seems kind of weird. Like, definitely lost in his head, just kind of worrying about, like, what he's going to do next in life.
Yeah, so I wonder if maybe he just got bored then with schooling, perhaps?
Yeah, his family tried multiple times to get him to go back to school. Like, they even tried to get him to go to different schools, but he kept refusing and evading them and avoiding them because he was just happy with the job that he had, which I think he hopped between a couple of fishing boats. He had a couple of different jobs. But at the time,
he has ADD too.
I wouldn't be surprised. He's on some kind of neurodivergent spectrum for sure.
Yeah, because it does sound like unless you keep it entertaining, and he's like, nah.
He's like, nah. Yeah, he didn't even contact his family much about where he was. They just kind of found him on a fishing boat, and they're like, hey, you should go to school. He's like, nah, I'm good.
That's boring.
Right.
I don't want to go back. It's cool. It's like, I thought you wanted to do this when you were... It's like, yeah.
So after job hunting, that's when he began working in Paris at the Continental Edison Company, which is what, yeah.
Gotcha.
That thing, I believe that's what his company was called when it started going abroad. But he installed indoor incandescent lighting on big buildings, because that was the lighting that was becoming popular, was incandescent lighting at the time.
Incandescent, what is that?
I forgot to look that up.
Oh.
Yeah.
How do you spell it? Maybe I can just look it up on my handy dandy little
INCANDESCENT. Lighting.
How do you spell that? I'm kidding.
Oh my gosh. I feel like we need to have a segment where we're like, put like a little screen up like the SpongeBob thing where it says, please wait while they access their phones, and then it just cuts to us afterward. We're like, oh yeah, we looked up the thing.
We looked it up. It's there.
We just find some stock elevator music or ask Lucas to make some for it.
It's just a basic light bulb Basically,
It's just a
the
regular
filament
bulb.
is enclosed in a glass bulb with a vacuum or inert gas to protect the filament from oxidation.
Ah, okay. Do we still use gas in light bulbs today? I don't think we
No,
do. Yeah,
no.
so that's probably why. I think that's the modern light bulb is when they stopped having to put gas in it. I
Yeah, it's
think.
like using the heat with the gas is what makes the lighting happen.
That would make sense why they want to improve it because if that
So,
blows up, the whole thing blows up. Which is why the
yeah.
current war started was because the old method of electricity would cause explosions and fires
Yeah.
and smoking.
Yeah. No, this would have caused a fire for sure.
Oof.
I've
You're
learned
looking at
something new.
pictures. Learning. We're
Well,
learning.
it's heating the filament within inside of it, and it looks like it's like an extreme heat that happens and occurs.
Oof.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's that heat that makes it glow. So almost like, like blacksmiths or stuff like that.
Oh, you
Whenever they're like,
definitely couldn't touch that then as a child.
yeah, no, it's
Oh
like
my
really hot.
gosh. Well, good. I'm
Apparently.
glad that we've moved away from incandescent lighting. But he would work on that. He would work on improving incandescent lighting. It says on a large scale, so I believe in like big buildings.
Like industrial
Mm-hmm.
kind of factory settings.
Right, because that's where they primarily used it because lighting was still becoming more accessible because
Right.
it's
So
such a danger.
probably only the big businesses one could afford it and afford the insurance for it. If insurance
Right.
is even a thing. I don't know.
That's a good question. One day we do an episode just on the history of insurance. I feel like that'd be boring, but slightly interesting. I'm not sure. That's arguable. So he was able to make improvements on generating dynamos and motors, because at the time the motors, that's how they create electricity, was with dynamos, which is basically like a motor runs and it creates energy, which then creates the electricity. And then electricity flows through like whatever the wiring and stuff is.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Not too fascinating to where I want to get involved in that, but yeah,
Right.
interesting little tidbit.
And one of Tesla's managers brought him to the United States. There's a lot of articles that state that he decided to move to the United States to work under Edison, but based on actual records from his diary, because they have different references on different articles, I don't think he did that. I think his manager was like, hey, you're really good at this. You should come with me to America because I got promoted and I'm going to go to America. And Tesla's, based on his personality, I'm pretty sure he went, okay.
Sure.
Because he seems like a pretty chill, like, if I get to work on stuff, I get to work on stuff.
I think that
kinda
and like
dude.
it sounds like he's a little bit of a wanderer. So
Mm-hmm.
United States, sure, never been there. Why not? Yeah, that sounds like him. Not like enthusiastic, but
Which, that's when he started working at the main lab, which was Edison Machine Works. And that's when he went to the United States. There are different stories on if he actually met Edison while he was working. They all say that they met, but what happened or what transpired between them differs. And there's not really records of it in his diary because after he got there, about 6 months later, he quit. There are some rumors that Thomas Edison did, like, they all say that he met him, but what was said between them differs. So one version says that Thomas Edison gave him praise because he improved the generators and troubleshoot a bunch of installations that he had they had made. He basically just improved some of the designs that were already there, and so Edison was like, good job. And his manager had told Edison, like, hey, this guy stayed up all night working on this thing for you. And Edison's like, well, good. That's a good man. But then whenever Tesla talked to him, Edison apparently made a comment about the alternating current power that Tesla was trying to tell him about, because this is when scientists started creating the theories for alternating current, which is where the current travels both ways between the wire instead of just going one direction, which is what Edison was promoting, was the current going one direction, which is direct current. Yeah. So this is when he brought that up with Edison, like, hey, I really think we should try this alternating current thing. And then Edison made a joke that offended Tesla, and Tesla brought it up. And Edison made a comment like, "Oh, you don't understand, our American ideals or our American idioms," or something to that exchange. It differs every single time that I read it on an article. But people say that he got offended by it and quit, but in Tesla's actual diary, he doesn't say anything about why he quit. He's just kind of like, "Hey, I quit my job today."
He doesn't,
So
obviously we don't really know this guy. Like, I can't say I know his personality, but from what has been told, it sounds more like maybe he is easily offended, and that's why he does the thing that he does. I don't know. That could also make sense. A part of me is like, he isn't easily offended, but at the same time, he could be.
There's so many, like, I understand both versions. That's why I'm making sure I mention it, is because that could be what happened. But I'm not going to say this is what happened when I've seen sources. I don't see sources that specifically say that's what happened. It's speculation and mentions from coworkers. And they already have dramatized the thing between Tesla and Edison so much. Like, they had made a whole movie about their rivalry. I think in 2017 it's called The Current Wars.
Oh. I did not know that.
They made a whole movie about it and made it like they both hate each other, blah, blah, blah. They didn't really interact. It was more on a company front.
Yeah, it sounds like one meeting happened.
Yeah.
To where, like, maybe he had the praise, like, "Oh, these things got fixed. That's really cool." And then, like, he was on the floor and the manager's like, "Oh, yeah, it's that guy." And he went to just say hi. And then that whole thing, whatever.
Yeah.
Where he was trying to be joking with him, and Tesla was just like, "Nah, man. Not happening."
Yeah. So he ended up quitting. There's also an argument that he might have quit because he had a lack of bonuses. Some people say that Edison said he was going to give him bonuses for some of the improvements that he made. I only saw like one article out of the 5 that I read that said that, so I don't think that's what it is. There's just speculation that he might have not gotten paid for some of his work, and so he was like, "I deserve better," and quit.
Maybe. I could see so many different things for this guy. I could see him being like, "I'm bored. I'm done." I could also see, like, he wants to work on the alternating current, and Edison's like, "No, we're going to stay with the direct current because businessman, you'll go with what works. Even if you can find a thing that, unless it doesn't take a ton of your money and forces, you're not going to go that way." So he may have been like, "Well, I want to work on this thing, so see ya."
Right.
Like, it could have been that too.
Yeah, that's ultimately no one knows for sure what happened because based on his diary, he doesn't say anything about it. Yeah. So all those things I've mentioned, I'm just mentioning them because it's possibilities, but none of them are concrete. It's just speculation. Some of them make sense to me for sure, but I'm not going to put words in his mouth that he never said.
Right. Because I would feel so many ways.
Right. He could have just been like, I want my own company and just quit. Because that sounds like something spontaneous that he would do.
He could have seen Edison and been like, "Wow, he's doing all this. I could do something like this." That could be his attitude too. I don't know. I don't know these men. I don't know either one of them.
Right. So him quitting is around when the current war started. So for background, arc lighting was the original thing that was used for electricity, and it was fueled by power stations that pumped more than 3,000 volts of electricity at a time, so they caused sparks, overheating, and explosions. Yeah, which makes sense for the incandescent light bulbs.
Yeah, because it's only the one way you're going to you're heating it versus, like, I don't know.
So direct current was a very much safer alternative for that type of lighting. And Edison developed a stable and long-lasting light bulb and set out to light homes and buildings using this light bulb that relied on DC, or direct current.
Okay. So
his light bulb was created with direct current in mind. We do use direct current in certain things today, like in small appliances, which is why they don't because you plug them in and unplug them. Mm-hmm. They don't want that to catch on fire because alternating current creates more possibilities of fire. So,
I see.
That's why we have plugs for small appliances, because it needs a direct current to go in, but nothing goes back into the socket.
Gotcha.
So that's an example of direct current, is like small appliances. They don't send any electricity back. It just goes into the
Okay, so
appliance.
what is the difference between that and the light bulb currently being used?
The light bulb currently, it has the carbon filament
Right.
in it, so it also produces its own power.
Okay, gotcha.
So like instead of it heating itself up, it uses that, and it has like a chemical reaction that creates more heat.
Okay, this makes
Yeah.
sense. I got you now. It's in my brain.
Yeah, because that's what revolutionized the light bulb, was just the introduction of different materials in the filament.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then he
Instead
wanted
of
to
using
just...
gas to make it hotter.
Gotcha. Okay. Starting to get it.
Yeah. So the electricity that was delivered by direct current could only travel a certain distance. So other inventors began developing alternating current to modulate the voltage using transformers. Because alternating current, if you don't have like a mechanism that controls how much ampage is going into things, it is very dangerous. That's why if a transformer blows on power lines that we have now, like it'll just, like the power will just completely go off because they have safety things. So if the transformer isn't working, you're not going to have power, because without the transformer, then an uncontrollable amount of electricity will be going through your home. That's why transformers are connected to houses, because they control how much electricity is going into your house, so you don't blow sockets or have things explode and all that fun stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. If
You know what's in a transformer? A Tesla coil, which Tesla came up with.
I was about to be stupid, purposely stupid, and be like Optimus Prime.
Yes,
Bumblebee.
Optimus Prime controls how much electricity goes into your house. He sits on the
Transformers.
he sits on your telephone pole as a little car, and when he sees electricity, he goes zap.
So dumb. Zap, zap.
Zap zap. Oh, I can't wait to see how you edit that. So Tesla was an alternating current devotee, and while he worked at Edison's Paris outpost, he got an idea for an AC generating motor, which he had like a fantasy almost that he wanted to use an alternating current generating motor on a waterfall like the Niagara Falls and power a town.
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah, that was like a dream of his. I'm not sure if it was like an actual dream he had, or if it was just like a fantasy that while he was daydreaming, that he would come up with. But that was like a fantasy that he had, is he was like, I want to power an entire town using one of my motors.
That'd be cool.
So he set up a company in Manhattan. He had another company before that, but insurance people kind of scalped him from that and took it from him. So his first actual factory was in Manhattan, and he got 7 patents for his AC motor, because you can get multiple patents on the same thing if it has multiple unique designs in them. That's why patents are weird, because technically you can come up with one invention, but you can patent individual things on the invention.
Yeah. Like, this thing is mine versus the rest of it is somebody else's kind of thing.
So this is when he licensed these mechanic patents to George Westinghouse, which was the owner of the company that was rivaling Thomas Edison's company. So most of the rivalry when it comes to the companies was between Westinghouse and Edison, but Tesla was helping Westinghouse improve his technology. So then it's advertised more as like a Tesla versus Edison, when in reality it's the Westinghouse company versus Edison's company.
I got you.
Which is why it's funny how much they've dramatized this, because I look and I'm like, it's still exciting. It's just not in a movie exciting. It's like people in their offices being like, did you hear he got this building powered? Yeah. It's okay. We got this other building powered. Nice. Like, it's not movie exciting necessarily, but it was still...
It's business.
Right.
I mean, you gotta dramatize it to make it movie exciting.
Oh, yeah. So, Edison labeled the electricity of alternating current as dangerous, and he claimed that it was going to kill customers. He even went so far as to promote alternating current for creation of the first electric chair.
I see what he did. Wow, this man is
And they
definitely
did
brilliant.
indeed use alternating current on the first ever
Oh my
electric chair
gosh,
to
he
kill the
is-
first ever guy with an electric chair.
I don't know whether to be mortified or proud.
Like, that's what I'm saying. He is a good businessman because
that
that's
is very
so
clever.
smart.
That is very clever.
I don't agree with it morally, but that's
No.
very smart.
Such a Slytherin thing to do.
Oh, he definitely was a Slytherin. You know he was a Slytherin.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
So the first criminal
That's
that was
so
killed
clever.
on an electric chair was William Kemmler. So he was the first ever person to be killed in an electric chair with an alternating current.
Oh my goodness. That is just, I am just shocked. I'm like, whoa. I would never have thought of that. Wow, he really did. He's like, you know what? We're losing some business. I know what will happen. Make it a bad thing. Like, how can we make it bad? Make an electric chair. This is sure to kill people.
It's like, I got this great idea for you. You should use alternating current. You know why? Because it's deadly, so it doesn't matter if you use it on him. In fact, it's probably even better.
That is, oh my gosh.
Mind blown.
It is. I'm like, oh, wow. That is awful. And yet I find that just, I want to clap.
Right? So Tesla's machines ended up making it into households because they did end up being proven to be more stable. It's because they basically it's because they use transformers. Transformers modulate how much electricity and power is going to go in. So it provides more power without causing issues or having a limited scope, so they can travel further. So they made it into households, but then they converted some of the household appliances to direct current, because they figured out that that was more reliable, because direct current is more stable, but alternating current provides the power that you need. So if you have transformers controlling the power and you have these small appliances only using direct current so that they don't harness too much electricity, then it kind of resolves the issue. You just have to make sure that you keep your transformers
So you need both.
good. Yeah. It's just,
Yeah.
you can't just use alternating current. You have to have modulations for the alternating current, which is where transformers came in.
I got you.
Not Optimus Prime. It would be so great if it was Optimus Prime. Oh my gosh. So, a poetic mention. In 1895, Westinghouse was able to use Tesla's motors on Niagara Falls to build an alternator that powered the city of Buffalo. So Tesla saw
He
his
got
dreams
his
come
fantasy.
true.
That's pretty cool. Nice.
So I found a couple more like fun facts like regarding what things Edison did like have patents for but didn't necessarily invent. So Thomas Edison also had a patent for an improved electric lamp, but his improvements made them reliable and safe. So that's why he got the patent. And he also invented the movie picture camera, even though he took a design from another guy that came up with it and improved it and then got the patent because he's a really, really good businessman.
There's a conspiracy on that.
Is there?
I'm pretty sure there is a conspiracy based off of the guy, because, you know what, I'll look it up for everybody.
Yes, do it. He also created the Kineto, I don't know. I'm going to say kinetograph.
That was a face you just gave with the I don't know.
It's fine. But he improved designs from Joseph Nicephone Nice and Louis Dagger.
These names, man, I'm loving them.
Right?
I'm living for them.
Nice phone.
I'm like,
It might be like nicephony or something like that, but it's spelled nice phone, so I'm saying nice phone.
I love it.
There's too many things in this for me to look up how to pronounce every single name. I gave y'all a lot today. You're welcome.
You know, it's great. I'm living.
So he also invented the recorder, but not the record player. A lot of people misquote him as having invented the record player, but he invented the recorder that could record things, not play them.
Got you.
Yeah. Then he had a fear of
Wait.
X-ray.
Okay, you're saying he invented the thing that recorded it, but he had nothing in order to play back this recording to know whether or not he actually succeeded?
I'm not sure if phonographs were able to play it back or not. I just know that it made sure to specify that he invented the recorder, not the record player. So It could be that maybe they had another way of playing music. They didn't have a way of recording like the voices and
Oh,
stuff.
so
Yeah.
maybe okay, I see. Cause then, all right, all right. I
Right.
think I got
Because I
it.
think it's easier to like record like music and stuff because you can technically record music on like old programming techniques by like punch cards. You could put them into machines and then they'll
Yeah.
record and they'll, you know, ding the
So the
music.
play thing was already invented,
Mhm.
kind of thing, and it was already done. So he was just recording it, and they could be
Yeah.
played back. So he
Right.
invented what was recording a voice, like
Mhm.
present time. I got you.
Yeah, because the first
Okay, that makes
recording was of
sense.
someone singing "Mary Had a Little Lamb."
Right. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
he also had a fear of X-ray technology, so there were certain chemicals and like radiation material that he absolutely would not experiment with because he was terrified of it.
But yet
Which
he would use freaking acid in a common
apparently one of his coworkers got overexposed to X-rays from doctors and got cancer, and then that freaked him out, and so he just refused to work with X-ray technology. Is one of the rumors. I don't have any actual references that say that's what
That
happened.
makes no sense to me. Although at the same time, I mean, like, do fears really make any sense? But that's like,
Right.
you're fine handling a substance that could eat away your skin, muscle, and bone, but yet the long-term effect of an X-ray material giving you cancer.
Which is funny because Tesla had like a theory on he had when he was old. So when he was old, he had this invention that he kept claiming he was working on, and then they never found any evidence that he actually was working on it. So people think he might have just been going senile and just had like because he was an inventor, so he would come up with really cool ideas in his head and then try to make them.
Maybe
But
it's one
they
of those
think
moments
that
where you lay down in bed and you think you're getting ready and doing all of these things, and
yeah.
then you wake up and it didn't happen.
But he was bragging that he was going to make what he called the death ray, which was like a supercharged a like electric ray that could kill anything. It was the super weapon that he claimed that he was going to be able to make, and he made all these like grand statements about it. And then after he passed away, they found his notebooks, and like a bunch of scientists were like, "Yeah, it was just an idea he had, but he had no basis on how to actually make this thing."
I hope not. Can you
But that actually that inspired a bunch of alien movies, which is if you want me to talk about those
That's
alien movies,
amazing.
you let me know because like the death ray was present in a lot of old alien movies like the what's that one where they have like the spaceships, the War on Worlds or something like that. It's like the big spaceships with like the spider legs and they just shoot laser beams at people.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what that's called. I haven't seen it. I should watch it probably.
Yeah, if you want me to go in depth on like the creation like ideas that spawned from the Tesla death ray, let me know in the comments because I would absolutely love to have like a little even a mini-sode about it because it's just funny.
That's amazing.
So different things that Tesla invented were electric oscillators, meters, so things that could detect how much electricity was going in and out of things, which makes sense because he helps with transformers. And then the Tesla coil, which was used in high voltage transformers, which they still use the Tesla coil today in lots and lots of designs. It's just basically a spiral.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was revolutionary back then. So that's why they make sure they still call it that. So Tesla's alternating current system is now the global standard for power transmission. So we currently use alternating current.
Nice.
Yeah, and Edison ended up dying in 1931 from diabetes, and Tesla died in 1943. They're not. I think there's a couple of different things that I read on how Tesla died, but basically, the story that I find it kind of funny because it fits with Tesla's personality is that he basically lived in a hotel and then they kept trying to check on him, so he left like a do not disturb note on his door. And then the maid finally one day was like, "This guy hasn't said anything. I'm gonna go check on him," and ignored the note and went in his hotel room and found him. Which, based on how the guy was, makes sense.
That poor maid.
Right. But Tesla in his lifetime and stuff, did not really have any credit. He was penniless. He didn't have a lot of money, because he didn't own any big companies. He was just the person innovating things. But I don't think he really cared.
I don't think so either. Based off of like what I've been hearing, I don't think he really wanted to be in the spotlight, truly.
Because some of Tesla's patents that he worked on, he ended up getting credit on after he had passed away. Like, I think there were 4 or 5 different ones that he ended up finally getting credit for a couple of years after he passed away. But in his lifetime, he didn't get much credit. But he gets credit now because he was a cool dude.
That means at least the company made sure that his name was on it. Otherwise, if he didn't get credited at all and the company didn't put his name anywhere, like, you really wouldn't know.
But this is where I point out Thomas Edison, even like people want to label him as a crook or whatever. He was a businessman. I don't have any issues with Thomas Edison necessarily. I do disagree with some of the moral stances he took to win his business, but he was a great businessman and innovator. And Tesla was a fantastic inventor.
Yeah. They really
So technically Tesla won.
Thank goodness that Tesla was out. Otherwise, there might have been a monopoly with Edison. Because if he had seen like the potential, was like, oh, you know what? Maybe we can combine these things and get like something going on these two things, and like worked with him. Could you imagine?
Oh, that'd be crazy.
That'd be
the alternate
nuts.
Universe where Edison and Tesla work together instead of splitting. That's so interesting.
But I'm sure their personalities would not have allowed them to.
Yeah, no, because Edison probably would be like, I want to do this for business reasons, and Tesla's like, I want to make more motors.
Yeah, it sounds like they both may have had ADD or ADHD, whichever one is
whatever
called now.
Label you want to put it on there. Neurodivergent.
But on opposite personality spectrum, like Thomas Edison was an extrovert, wanting to talk to all of the
He's
people,
like, I have 1,000 patents. And Tesla's like, look at this thing that I made.
Yeah, and he's very introvert, very into himself. So he's like, look at all this stuff. Oh, and like spits out ideas to whoever would listen. He doesn't seem like a crowd person. Well, Edison does.
Yeah.
So,
but that's the war of the currents. Technically, Tesla in the end, after he had passed away, won because that's what we use now.
Yeah.
But it was just an interesting rabbit hole that I went down, because originally I was just gonna research Thomas Edison, and then I realized how much he had in common with Tesla, because they were honestly just different sides of the same coin.
Yeah, really.
They're both really smart people. One had more of an education than the other, but they both had the same kind of ideas. I think Edison was just more, I want to revolutionize the business aspect of it, and Tesla was more like, I want to be more practical and create new things.
Yeah, it really sounds more like the whole extrovert versus introvert almost.
Right, but I thought that was really cool.
I
was like, that's kind of weird, because I find it strange because of how much we've dramatized it when it really wasn't. They weren't that polar opposite.
It doesn't sound like it. I don't know, though. I don't know these men. I would never have the opportunity to meet these guys either.
They passed away in the 30s and 40s of 1900.
Way before. I wasn't a thought. My parents weren't even a thought.
No.
It was way before my time. But also another thought that just bubbled into me is if they did wind up working together, and who knows if we would have had the electric chair.
Oh my gosh. That's so true though. The electric chair was created because Edison was petty and was like, hey, you should use this guy's electricity.
That's the one I'm gonna stick with that forever. It's awful and I love it.
Right? No, that was the fact that I learned it, and I was like, oh, there's tea here.
Oh man, that's sip. Bad. It's so bad. Please say in the comments you agree, it's awful, but you find it just a little bit funny, so I feel better about myself, because I'm like, oh, I don't know if I should be laughing at that. That's awful.
It's awful.
Please let me know, or don't. It's fine.
Yeah,
It'll be okay.
I'm sure there's more complicated explanations for how the electricity works, and I might have missaid some things about motors. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not an electrician, so I just explained it in the best way that I could understand it, and that, you know, people that don't know a lot about electricity like me would understand. So if you want to give more explanations in the comments, like if you are an electrician or something, let us know, because you know, more detailed descriptions, I will read them. I might not understand them, but I guarantee I will read them because I'm curious.
We're always learning here on our podcast. That's the whole point of us going down the rabbit, learning. This probably is useful information, but we usually go for more pointless information. But hey.
Yeah. Hey, we educated you today. You're welcome. I didn't go on a really weird tangent. This was like genuine, like, good American history.
History going through it. The only thing that got derailed was me and my fascination with names.
It's okay.
It's
okay. Names are cool.
Names are cool. I will always have that. Elva, right? Alva. I love that.
Alva.
It's so pretty. Anyway, if you enjoyed this, is that it? That's all, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry. I was like, I want to make sure I didn't miss any information because it's all really cool.
There's no dramatic ending. It's more like posthumous accomplishments.
Nice.
You know, like after they died, then people kind of were like, oh, hey.
I learned some new little things, and I thought that once you mentioned Thomas Edison and like the crookedness or whatever, I was not going to like him. I like both of them at the end of this, which is something. I don't know what that says about me, but hey. If you like this, please subscribe wherever you are listening. Hopefully we're going to start putting all of this stuff on podcasts.
Yeah, we're working on it. The only reason we haven't yet is we're trying to only like have little nibbles of different things so we don't swamp ourselves.
Yeah, we're one step at a time for here. But hey, if you're listening to this on a podcast platform, we do have a YouTube channel. Please go check us out and look at Nicole's funny faces.
Oh yeah,
they're so great.
They're great. I don't notice them until someone mentions them, and I'm like, it's just my face. I'm sorry. It's just my face, guys. Gosh.
Perfect. Anyway, we hope that you come back and keep listening to us. So, have a wonderful day. We love you. At least I do.
I love you too.
I can't speak for you. See,
I love you too.
Bye.